This is day 577 of the Arukh HaShulchan. If you'd like to sponsor our company, share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yami, please contact me directly. It'd be greatly appreciated. Doing Siman Shin Lamates, Sif Tes Vav, Tilcha Base. Tes Vav, long Sif. Because of Rabbeinu Beis Yosef, Sif Hey, Hakone says, Amana, somebody who gets married to a widow, will be a Rishona, should not have the first relations with her. Lo b'Shabbos, lo b'Yontif, not on Shabbos or on Yontif. Akal Shono. Zem Yerushalmi, it's Yerushalmi Yuma. V'Yibir as Vayim Dinei Be'evan as a Siman Saltal. The inspired the Besuli Chuppah V'lo Labula. Chuppah is an effective kinyan for a woman who is a virgin, who never had relations before, but not for a woman who already had relations before. Ayin Sham. But the reason is fairly Chuppah Hi Hainuma. And the reason is that because he holds that the chuppah is the veiling, the bedekin, as we call it. And that which we take have a veil of bedekin, and during the festivities of the chas and the kala, it's only by basula. If it's by mona leka kinyan chuppah, if that's the case by mona, there is no kinyan chuppah. By kinyan have a biyah. And the kinyan is the actual relations. So we can't do it on Shabbos because it is the kinyan. Therefore, they explain that what Yerushalmi says at the beginning of Ksubos, that that those who marry an Amara have to marry her from before Shabbos begins. Means to have relations with her. But because they hold there is no chuppah for an Amara. But those are considered the be'ula yesh chuppah. They hold also by be'ula there is a chuppah. The chuppah mikra yichud aroy lebiyah, because chuppah is the yichud which is suitable for biyah. In other words, the yichud room. V'zeh shaveh ben b'sula ben b'amona b'grusha, and that is equivalent both by b'sula or an amona or a grusha. By Yerushalmi shomer halin the constant armalin. So the Yerushalmi talks about those who marry widows. Kavanasa mishum the b'sula b'avachi osli bo b'chil b'shabbos. That's because Yerushalmi Shita, which we don't pass like, is that you're not allowed relations with a Basula on Shabbos for the first time in any event. Which is the opinion of Yerushalmi. So Yerushalmi says you have to the Yichud Roy Lebiyah for Amona, who you can't have relations with on Shabbos for the first time, before Shabbos begins. For us who hold that you're allowed to have relations with the basula for the first time on Shabbos, also the Yichud Relabiyah has to be before Shabbos begins. There we've explained at length what chuppah is. And there explained poskim don't argue at all. By Mona also there's no machlokas. If there was a yichud haroy lebiyah, the yichud room from before Shabbos begins, yucham medina levalu b'Shabbos, you're allowed to have first relations on Shabbos, not the kinyan. By Psula, those require Yichud Lebiyah from before Shabbos begins. Mishnah Bura says, just need Yichud Ba'alma from before Shabbos begins, not Yichud Lebiyah. So what's the ramification of that? He says an interesting thing. Okay? Therefore, even if she was in Nida, or people are coming in or going out of that room, nevertheless it's a Chuppah Gemara. That's fascinating. So they Yichud, there is such a thing as a Yichud which is not a Yichud, which works for a Psula. Okay, that's it. I never knew that before. But besides whatever the halachic issues are, and it's interesting that chuppah here he doesn't call. It could be because according to Sfarim they don't have the chuppah which we have. Therefore, then so Salah comes from Mechaber. So was it Mechaber? Yes, Beis Yosef. So therefore. Since according to this fine, there's no chuppah, so there's either bedekin or yichud. There's no chuppah as an official stage of the marriage. Okay, be that as it may. But he says, there's some
mystical issue with having relations with Almana for the first time on Shabbos. But as a Shamayvenu, Haisa Maisa Kozev Techat Mesa. Okay? Gives you the heebie jeebies. They had a story like that where the man had relations with a widow on Shabbos for the first time, and she dropped dead. So therefore, we're very careful not to do it. But it's only by widow, not by divorcee. Evidently, this issue has to do with the departed husband. I assume that's why it only applies by Amon, not by Grusha. The Grusha by Grusha, if there was a proper yichud from before Shabbos begins, Yochel of Shabbos, he can have relations with her on Shabbos. As opposed to what Mishabur said by Be'ula, there has to be nobody else in the room. And if it was not royal beer from before Shabbos begins, go to Tmeya, such as when she was in Nida, Asurli Bo Shabbos, then she can't go to the mikvah on Shabbos. Also lo lavo le b'Shabbos, because in this case he can't have relations with her on Shabbos. He didn't acquire her before Shabbos, and the acquisition is on Shabbos. So it wasn't the yichud which is suitable for bia. Sham and back. I'm sorry. The back says here Sham heistigam mechakos maskechos mechakik mishmol Sham heistigam mechakos mechakik ayin Sham. Be that as it may. The moral of the story is, anyway, we don't get married Friday afternoons. Tezain davar pasha shas l'garish b'Shabbos. Simply, you can't divorce on Shabbos. You got custom about yom. If the guy was in before Shabbos, the himbo psul muktam, and it doesn't have a psul that was written prematurely, such as a get through a shliach, where you can write it before it's effective. Or it doesn't say which day, only the month, which is obviously, but the evidence is sufficient. Nevertheless, also garish commercial also karish. Now divorce, just like an outlet to marry. With gerushin, she moves herself from his domain, and it's like a kinyan. Shabur writes a different reason. Interesting enough, he says that his reason is like any other court case, because you might come to write something on Shabbos. But by get from somebody who is dying, and he's imminent, his death is imminent. And if they don't give the get, he says kukul chalitza yibum. She's going to have to undergo chalitza yibum. Isa begiten says in the seventh gitin she tiru chazal laknos lacheresh haget munach sham. They allowed him to be maknet to her the room in which the get is lying. And she makes a chazaka on the room. She takes the acquisition of it by opening and closing the door. In which way the get is effective without a direct kinyan. Which the Bura says, interestingly, he says, it's not for her benefit. It sounds like the Arukh HaShulchan, it's for her benefit. She says, no, it's not for her benefit, it's his benefit, because he'll go out of his mind and die quicker if they don't do what he wants. Okay? Interesting. Yudzai, Kosav Rambam Perchav Gimel Dinya Test. And Magrim Chumas Umaisus to Shabbos. You cannot take Chumas Umaisus on Shabbos. Because it looks like fixing something which is not previously fixed. And you can't, even if you're doing it in order to give the Kohen that day, no good. That's the right. And even Ben Hashmashos, now I'll take Ma'aser for something which is definitely Tevel. But something which is not clearly Tevel, but may or may not be Tevel, Ma'aser Ben Hashmashos, you take Ma'aser during twilight. The low dami lemutak, it's not like fixing. The rov amiaretz meiser because anyway, most amiaretz take meiser. Mikom Shabbos atzmo aser, but on Shabbos itself, once it's fully night, a Friday night, it's forbidden. Came in the tiknu la'aser since Rabbana made a takona to take truma even off of demai. So tiknu in the final analysis, it's fixing. Umaduma, which is v'hainu truma shenisar b'chulim b'mei pamim kacha, truma which is mixed with chulin. 100 times the chulin of the truma. The mal achos muteres, where you take out one from the mixture and then the mixture is okay, because we that one we assume, even though the truma is bata, mikradin, but it says still you have to take one out. It's symbolically the truma. It's still so you can't do it on Shabbos. Email Shabbos. Misaki, you're fixing. He says in brackets, "Ain't a lock crab nota and sham." I'm not sure what he's referring to offhand without looking it up. V'chol min tikkun aser b'Shabbos. Any type of fixing is also Shabbos. Mishum tikkun shemalacha. It's kind of like a gzeira, lest you come to a tikkun which is actual malacha. Klamar yomu mali tikkun zeh mali tikkun shemalacha. What difference does it make if I do this type of tikkun and another tikkun which is actual work? They're not gonna. The symbolism issue is not going to hit them between the eyes and say, "Oh, this is symbolism." That's not. But feel chumas to rabban also fish b'Shabbos even true. Rabban now take on Shabbos v'chein bein hashmashos and even in bein hashmashos about mine, separate mine, which is based on a suffix, as opposed to chumas to rabban, which all chumas is manners and rabban, but they're vadre. So the mine is a suffix, so it's different. Yudches okosam shamarambam diudat ein donim b'chulei ein maktishin v'lo ma'arichin. One doesn't judge. One can't make something hekdesh. One can't assess a value in order to give. One can't evaluate something for hekdesh. Erchi olai, lo machrimin, and one can't make something cherem on Shabbos, which is a cherem gavoa, a cherem which goes to Beis Hamikdash, cherem kohanim goes to the kohanim. That's the brackets. And he also has brackets. V'ayin tasif kondav tamur mode. Whatever he says there is tamur. B'nei should come back home. Like it's like commercial activity. The aim of being Trumas and Meisters. You don't take off Trumas and Meisters on Shabbos Yontif. Well, we just said that. Because it's like consecrating that fruit which he set aside. Also because you're fixing them on Shabbos. So he says in brackets, why the Rambam is repeating this, Hosif Tam, he's adding a reason, I'll call him on the prior reason. Maybe he's adding this because of Meiser Sheni. I guess before it sounded like he was taking on Truma and Meiser Rishon. That's Meiser Sheni, Viduk. Can't take on Meiser Behema, which is one of every 10th animal. Because the way you do it is by marking every 10th animal with a dye, with a red mark. So you might come do that on Shabbos, so you can't take on Meiser Behema. It's not because of fixing. Because you're allowed to eat the animal even if you don't take a meiser. Truma's meiser is to make one hekdesh beforehand it was chulin. So there's no misakin here really. And it's also not a commercial activity because the meiser behem which you bring as a korban, you eat yourself. A person can consecrate a Pesach on Shabbos and a Chagig on Yontif, because that's the mitzvah of the day. Shem Makdishin, just like you can't make something hekdesh kach in mekanchim mechatos. If you have to make poraduma water, when obviously you have poraduma, you can't do that on Shabbos. I don't know what the source is. I also don't know why you can't do it. It's not fixing anything unless you actually come to sprinkle it. Fly the came in the Azoi into the Shabbos, perhaps because the sprinkling is not put on the bush of Shabbos. He's because that's like fixing the person who's going to make. In King, he had Lama trying to bleed him, so why would we allow you to go to the toil of making mechatos for naught? Fly gone, but till also, maybe not even carry mechatos. I mean, they should mukta, it's mukta, came with you kodesh, it's holy, but also it's Padavar Shabbos, and you can't do anything with it on Shabbos. Time to step the Shabbos, telling him it's like chodesh b'Shabbos. You can carry grain from chodesh on Shabbos, telling Meiser Sheni, Yerushalayim, and carry Meiser Sheni in Yerushalayim, because they can be mutter that day, not outside the Beis Hamikdash. And not outside Yerushalayim, because you can't eat Meiser Sheni in Yerushalayim, outside Yerushalayim. So therefore, there's no reason to carry it there. Ayin Sham, also, because you're not allowed to eat the Meiser Sheni outside Yerushalayim, but so I know you can't have any benefit from it, any pleasure from it, because it's holiness. Oh, so he says not because it might become mutter that day, but rather even though it's us to eat, it come mutter lehenos mimeros. So you have to have pleasure, benefit from it. It's not us by no, because it's not holy. It's just us to eat. But for chatas, can't get swim betilto. But the water of the chatas and the mechatas, the water for the mayim chayim el keli, and the ashes of the chatas would be also, and therefore God can also bring them so you're not allowed to carry them. You test. I'm like, be a trumas and ma'aser b'Shabbos yotiv. Well, if you did take off trumas and ma'aser on Shabbos yotiv, but if you did it inadvertently, you can eat what you fixed. Amazed the loyacham Motzei Shabbos. You literally can't eat until Motzei Shabbos. Not you and not others, says the Mishnah Berurah. Regardless, he fixed it. In other words, you don't take off trumas and ma'aser the second time. So he does somebody who makes a hekdesh. Somebody who says erchi olai, and I'm saying that I don't mean it. I just hope you understand that. And just give me an example. Also before, or did or make something cherem on Shabbos, ben b'shogeg ben amazed, but he did deliberately or inadvertently or deliberately. So what he did. And of course, by Yontif, it's the same thing. Can I make Shabbos? Also, make the saying to your friend on Shabbos, even though you're not supposed to. Is effective. So I have a mecca because the acquisition which is made, even though it's prohibited, is an acquisition. Because the Chashmisha is similar to Shas. They will explain why we don't say that if you did it shouldn't work, as Morrison says, we don't say that here. Ayin Shom. Somebody who designated by the Chumas Meiser Meiser, this 1/100th of the fruit should be Chumas Meiser. Ola Meiser shall only Shabadai, or it was called shame to the 1/10 of the Chumas Meiser, the Chumas Meiser Ani for the poor person, the 3rd and 6th year of the Shemitah cycle. Late name Shabbos. You shouldn't carry them Shabbos. Even though you designate place them before Shabbos. When you do them menachim b'tzad pairs, and they are actually known portions and set next to the fruit. In other words, this already it's not just your recorded shame, but it's specifically designated already. But you can't move it. But if a Kohen or an Ani is accustomed to eat by you, they can come and eat it. As long as you tell the Kohen, that what you're going to eat is Chumas Ma'aser. Ani should tell Ma'aser Ani, tell the Ani, this is Ma'aser Ani Akal Shana. Zeh Mishnah prepared Dal did mine. This is what it means. Mishkar Hashem, somebody who designated by name. Klama Shamar Chumas Ma'aser Sheni Chayva says Mikri Zeh. The Chumas Ma'aser I have to give from this crib of grain. Yeah, Munach B'tzfon of Ramas, it's on north side or it's south side. He didn't separate it. And this is true also about Vadai as well. Except by if it's Vadai, then you saw has no business taking off the Chumas Meiser. Levi, whom he gave the Meiser, is supposed to take it off. But by you keep the Meiser for yourself because the Levi's he has to prove he should get it in order to get it, and therefore the Chumas Meiser also you take off, not him. Who am I for Chumas Meiser nail Cohen? He's the one who takes off Chumas Meiser, give it to Cohen. Can move first, even though it's as if it's already separated. Come late name the Cohen. You shouldn't come to the Cohen or the Ani. And they should also take Matanas Kun B'Shabbos because you're not allowed to give the gifts to a Cohen on Shabbos. Only if they're accustomed to eat by him, they can come and eat them on Shabbos Yontif. But he has to tell them. Otherwise, they must last. The low came, have his because otherwise they think he's feeding them his own stuff, and that's they'll think, wow, what a great guy, but he's not such a great guy. He's not a bad guy, not a great guy. So why does it say somebody designated Truma, definite Vadai, definite Truma from which also he can then call the Kohen to eat from? The Truma Gdol Mafishim Yakshin Ekram Yagor, because Truma Gdol they used to take off immediately when it was moved from the silo. They didn't wait till it was in a crib at home. Why does it say somebody who was Korei Shem? That's a shame to Meiser of Vadai. Vishafim eat no Levi Shabbos in both to Ellis. Because even if he gives it to a Levi on Shabbos, there's no value. So maybe he's not going to be able to eat it. Sharei Olav Lafrish Chumas Meiser. Because he still set aside Trumas Meiser from it. Chafalf. Okay, well, this is an explanation of the Rambam. Machtiv Rambam Tmuim. The Rishami Shamuki Mishnah Zuki Beis Shammai. The Rishami says Mishnah is like Beis Shammai. Dom Peg Bekan Beitz. So say in the first Peg of Beitz. So the Ein Malichin Chala Matanos Kohen B'Yontif. They now to bring Chala or Matanos to a Kohen on Yontif. Abesil Mutalim B'Shabbos. According to Beisil, you can't take them over on Shabbos. Varasham Ein Chiluk B'Yontif B'Shabbos. It says there's no difference between Yontif and Shabbos in this respect. Varama Atzma Peg Dam Yontif Dincha Ba Pasach Malichin. I'm basically you can take the Trumas and Meisters to the recipients. Breakshul Zel love, and there he asks upon him. Why can't you take them? Why do you have to call the people to eat here? The linear, to me it seems, I don't have the country. The Ram Pasuk Yerushalmi said. The Ram Pasuk Yerushalmi Shom Hayafa made a doubly mudim v'chule. Klomar Shemasha Beis Hilla Matirin beBeitza Lo Lalich Itza Kohen. Beitza don't let you actually take to the Kohen because Yerushalmi says it's Bili Mudim. Ella Bili Mudim Lechol Tzoy Avov Yochlu. If they're accustomed to eat by him, they can come and eat. Ayin Sham. Vavka the Shita Shas on Beitza ain't okay. Even though our Shas and Beitza holds not that way, because Rambam Batzmo Perek Dal Miyontif, like Rambam himself writes there, Sfira Lei, the Rambam Dezel B'Trumas Sheifrishon L'Gamem Erev Yontif. That's the Trumas that you said it's like completely on Erev Yontif. Moshe Marisham. Avokriya Shem Levad. We just designated before Yontif began, which obviously you didn't. I should mention this before. It's obvious. The Rambam started in case you're Korei shame before Yontif to these things, and then questions on Shabbos and before Shabbos, question for Shabbos Yontif, what you do with it, and on that the Rambam says you can't bring them to the Kohen Elani. You can only invite the Kohen Elani to you. So in this Modim Yerushalmi in Heterak B'Limudim, it's only permissible where for them people accustomed to eat by you to come and eat by you. It says here in the brackets, it's not like the Tais of Yontif, who says evidently, the Mishnah Allah, the Mishnah Allah, the Tmiyani Shalom is Kabdivi Rambam, the Stanish not remember this Rambam. Chabez, the guy, you should know, change Mishnah stop at the Achrei of Shekinah and Nesa b'Shabbos. I was not sure, since Kinyan is forbidden on Shabbos, in Yochel is cost by Hefker b'Shabbos, Rabbi Mukta, can you take something which is Hefker on Shabbos, which is not Mukta, and acquire it? Perhaps it says no buyer and seller. He's a Mechlal Kinyan. This is something that Rabbi Kibeger, and it's also the Magen Avram of Nali Kotam Vav. Lanias Daitinir borrowed the mutter. Shulchan says clear to me that's permissible. Otherwise, how can you take challah and matanos, matnas guna, so Chaim and Keva, to a Kohen? The Yisha lo Rashai, the Yisha Rashai litain shenam shalo. Granted, he can give it to them because it's not his. We can't come out Kohen Zocha, but has a Kohen Zocha by Shabbos Yontif, but the Kohen is acquired at Shabbos Yontif. Say no kishalo, right? It's not like the Kohen had some right to it previously. Shrei Yuchal another Kohen Hacher could have given to the owner could have given to another Kohen. But Kohen Hazeh have a Kohen Kinyan. So this Kohen who's getting it is like he's going to kill him. Kinyan, he's making a Kinyan. It's acquisition. Okay, but the lake on Makneh, but since there's nobody who's selling it, then it's so Makneh, the Yisrael is not being Makneh to him. Torah Zichtolo, but the Torah gave it to the Kohen, designated for him as Mutter. So in order, so also because of Mekach Memka, you need a Makneh and a Koneh. So Arukh HaShulchan's Kiddush here. If the few times because of Rambam Mekach Memka, Shem Yichtov, also the reason that the Rambam gave by Mekach Memka by commercial activity that is a problem that you might come to right. Low sharp after. It's not relevant by hefker. But I feel my turn beyond b'simin shin vav si you design lo dami lemekach memkar. Also, the gift is technically not like a mekach memkar. The dvar mitzvah therefore they allow gifts for the purpose of mitzvah and sham. The koshkein hefker the b'chol gavnei yishar and certainly hefker is permitted under all circumstances to acquire on Shabbos. Brings in the brackets. Tzas rayim b'mitzvah tesam now. I mean I think be arniki b'Shabbos ayin sham. He must discuss African Shabbos and feel live anarchy. So right, the one above Tzia says, this is a problem. If you try and pick up a wall on Shabbos, it's muktzah. How can you acquire it? So it's mashal. If it wasn't wild, it wouldn't be a problem. It's Zaychim and Hefker, so it must be Zaychim and Hefker is not a problem on Shabbos.